And listen, guys, check out our new website, www.marriagevantagepoint.com. And remember, you are the MVP in your marriage.
From this moment.
All right, Omega Radio listeners, right about now, we're going to go ahead and connect with both Karim and Michelle Hyatt here today for today's segment of Marriage in a Minute. So we want you to stay tuned in and stay locked in. Coming to you now are the voices of the Hyatts with Marriage in a Minute. Over to you.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
That's my singing voice.
The listeners out there. Yeah, my wife is being sweet with her talk today.
I'm singing.
Hello.
It is pouring outside.
Yeah, it is.
And we just made it into the studio like right on time, or else I would have been soaked. But anyway, even in the rain, I know you hear me say it all the time, but you can still find something to do with your loved one, right? Yes. So
we got a chance to beat the rain today. We got to go out this
couple
morning
of games
and
in, some runs.
Yeah,
so we're, as usual, we're a little bit tired, and
but
he's 6 months older than me, so he's like older. He's more tired than me.
6 months older.
He's 6 months older than me.
Usually you hear 6 years or 2 years.
6 months.
6 months.
So he's older than me, so of course he's drained. Now I'm still okay.
Yes.
But anyway, listen, I know you were, you remember we did a series on Mythbusters about marriage. And I have no idea what happened to my husband, but this past week, the middle of the week, it might have been Tuesday, he's like, I know what we're doing. He didn't say to me, Michelle, what do you think? I know what we're doing. And I said, what are we doing? He said, we forgot one.
One big one, too.
He said he forgot one, and he think it's big, so that's why we're here. So we're doing Love is Blind. Yes. And I think it would... You know what? I was excited. When he said that, I just started cracking up. I have no idea why I started cracking up, but it's so true. People are always saying love is blind.
But is it really blind? Think about that. So that's the question. Is love blind? So we're going to talk about that today. And I was just thinking about it, and I said, I have to research to see what they mean by love is blind.
Tell us, sir.
The definition of that phrase, love is blind. Loving someone makes you unable to see their faults. But think about that.
That's the
definition.
Loving someone so you don't see their faults.
It makes you not see their faults. But that's not true, is it? Because really, the reality is loving someone makes you see their faults, but still love them.
Anyway.
That's the difference.
That's great.
So think about it properly. So we go around and we say,
love is blind.
I love you, right? Now, it
sounds
really,
good.
It sounds good, but it's really blind if you keep saying it but not showing it.
Right.
So
but I think we need to go back to that again. I really like that. So people say love is blind, and the definition of, or the reason why people say that is because they feel like you can love someone, right? Loving someone makes you
not able to see their faults.
You're unable to see their faults. But what kind of a reality do you want to live in where you're not seeing someone else's faults? Yeah. The truth is, love is not blind. So you do want to love someone, makes you see their faults, but you love them anyway.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, for love to be real, you have to see their faults and love them anyway.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
That's
so this word.
And I mean, I'm sorry. It sound. He came up with the idea, so now I'm like chatting on it like it was mine. But sorry. When you really think about that, that's such a great love. When you think about that, God so loved the world that He gave His only Son to us.
The key word is gave.
He gave His Son to us while we were yet sinners. Yeah. The Bible says Christ died for us while we were sinners. And if you think about some of the sinful things that people do, it is ugly, it's shameful, it is evil. But that's what happened. He saw us. He loved us anyway.
Right.
And that's the way. All right, I'm going to shut up.
No. Go
it's
ahead,
his show. No. I could go on forever because I'm so excited. And when he said love is blind, I just started laughing. I'm like, we're going to go back into that. But this is a huge, big one that we just want to surface love. When we love people on the surface, You know what that is? Those are clicks on Facebook. That's all that is.
It's really a trick of the enemy that we fall for a lot of times when we think about love as something that we just cover up and not show. In other words, you say to your spouse, I love you, but you're not really showing them love. And that's what the enemy wants. He doesn't care how much you say it. He doesn't care how much you read it. He doesn't care how much whatever you do with that word, but as long as you don't show it, that's what he cares about. He doesn't want you to show it. So remember, when the verse says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, he did it for all to see, right? We saw it.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good, you guys. That's so good. I am enjoying.
She's giving me some.
I'm giving him his
vibe.
flowers today. No, that is so good because
Yeah.
when we started talking about why would people say love is blind and whatever, we sometimes don't want to see some of the things and while you are loving someone, if you see certain things that they manifest itself in the relationship, but they are not good, you've got to also check yourself,
Exactly.
check the spirits, test the spirits.
Yeah.
And when you really see those things that do not belong, then you've got to make a decision. Do I even belong in this relationship? So sometimes we love certain things about a person that's so, and I mean, this is for people who are especially getting into the idea of getting married. If you're in a relationship, and I'm talking to my singles, my engaged folks right now, and you're seeing something that you're thinking to yourself that it's giving you a check in your spirit. Like, man, this is not blind. This is not only is it not blind, it is glaring.
Yeah.
You have to make amends. You've got to look into it. You've got to say, you know what? It is time to hit the pause button and decide, is this good for me?
Yes. Now, that's a great point. And to piggyback on that, your marriage relationship is going to be great if we could only realize the twist behind it. So think about it. If your spouse is being impatient in the marriage, in the relationship, and it's causing a problem, or if they're being unkind, what are you supposed to do to overcome the enemy? Because it's really the enemy behind it, trying to, push your spouse in being unkind, or push you. Your spouse is a goodwill person, but sometimes there's a weakness where they fall, or we fall for the enemy's trick by being impatient or being, it's not from God, it's from the devil. So if you, as the other spouse, recognize this truth that the only way to overcome it is to be patient. The only way to overcome it is to be kind. So that's why love is not conditional. So you see love by showing it to an unkind spouse or showing it to an impatient spouse. So if Michelle is being impatient with me, I can't be back impatient with her because there's no love. It's just going to build more fire in the arguments or whatever it is. So I have to be the one to overcome that impatience by showing her patience, being patient with her, or being kind to her when she's being unkind to me. And, it goes the other way around. But it happens to all of us in marriage. So, think about that properly. You put out fire with water or with a fire extinguisher, right? You put out arguments or put out, blow-ups in the marriage by a soft answer. It turns away wrath. Grievous words stir up anger. So you have to show it then. That's the point I'm trying to get at. You have to show love for it to be effective.
Yeah, love is never, from the get-go, that verse we just mentioned, that for God so loved that he gave. And we could just stop right there. So love is given. Given is an action. You can't just sit and give. You have to do something for it to become an action word. And we remember in Corinthians, right? It talks about love is patient. Love is kind. Love doesn't boast, or love doesn't keep track of being wronged or whatever. When you can't just sit and be patient. Those things, you have to take them into account that they're action words. Right. So that's the reason why when we're seeing, and we've seen TV shows we were looking, we were doing some research and found that there was a TV show, I believe, talking about Love is Blind or whatever, where,
Oh yeah, yeah.
go ahead.
It's basically a TV show called Love Is Blind, where single men and women meet other, men and women, and they get engaged before they even meet the person. They call it Love Is Blind.
Love is Blind.
So basically, it's the ideology that the world has about love is twisted. And if we are not careful, we fall into that ideology and we start thinking these things and thinking
like
about
love should be blind. And
meaning,
No.
you it's okay to say I love you but not show it.
right. And the thing about it is, I think when I was younger, not knowing that the Lord doesn't want us to be blind, right? Do you remember the story when the high priest, when the God, I'm losing my thought process because there's so much. When the veil was ripped, it's so that we can walk into a newness with the Lord, so that we can now see, that we can now know, right? So to think that love is a blinding thing, we've got to change our thought process.
Yeah.
And I used to say that when I was young, that love is blind, but thinking about it now as an adult and as a Christian person, where the truth, right? Seeing too is part of being truthful, that the truth shall also set you free. So we can't be blinded in our relationships and blinded in issues, character issues, and blinded by certain things, and that being shadowed by, I don't know, maybe somebody's good looks or somebody's money or whatever, but those issues are still there. But the Lord does not want us to be blind. That is the bottom line. We've got to see. And while we're seeing, we show love in the midst of seeing that somebody's got, because we all have issues. So now if I'm thinking that my husband, okay, he's blind to, my husband's not blind to my faults. He might not just pick at them every day to put me down, or I don't pick at his every day to put them, but I know what they are, right? And to be like not Christ-like, I could go in and poke at the areas that I don't bring up every day, or he does the same. But it doesn't mean that those things, we're not blind to the things that we struggle with, in our own selves, right. But we're just choosing to love through, in spite of those struggles. I'm going to love you anyway.
The key word Michelle just said.
There's a key word.
Is choose.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, God didn't call us to show love out of feelings, because he knows that our human nature will lead us to not do it out of, if we're going by feelings. He's telling us to choose to show love. He chose to give his son.
Yeah.
He chose. That's a choice he made for us. And we didn't treat, we were a mess then. So, was it Romans 12:12 came to my thoughts. It says, part of it says, be patient in tribulation, right? A part of love is patience. He said love is patient. Now, you're having trouble in your marriage. You're having, your spouse is not being the best at this moment of time. It's not all through the marriage. It's just a season. Good. That's what God is saying. Be patient in tribulation.
Because it will pass.
It will pass. God didn't say love your perfect spouse. Think about that. He didn't say love your perfect spouse or respect your he didn't say love your perfect wife or respect your perfect husband. He just says love your wife as Christ loved the church, and respect your husband as unto Christ. So basically you're doing it as unto Christ. You're doing it as unto the Lord. And that's how your marriage is going to be well. We're not saying it's easy. That's why it's sacrificial.
I think we got to continue to next week. I love this.
Yes,
I actually
really,
love this. And we are at the end. And
yeah.
Don't forget, remember we've said before, sometimes if every married couple would understand that sometimes the worst comes before the better, you would really understand. But that's not out of blindness. That's really being intentional.
Right.
That I'm going to love you. There's so much to unpack.
Yeah,
we're going to do this next week
we're at the end
again.
of our program, but remember this one thing. take your mind, renew your mind away from the ideology of the world when it comes on to what love really is.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us today on Omega Radio with Marriage in a Minute. Join us next Saturday, 3:30 p.m. for this program, Marriage in a Minute, as we continue with this blindness of love.
Love is blind. No, it's
Bless you,
not.
guys.
Have a great week.
All right, Omega listeners, you were just tuned in to Marriage in a Minute here today. We do hope that you enjoyed today's segment and that you'll tune in next week, Saturday, at the same time of 3:30 to 3:45 p.m. right here on Omega Radio for Marriage in a Minute. And, of course, we'd like to say a special thank you to the Hyatts for being a proud sponsor towards this radio ministry.
From this moment,
Hey, radio listeners, this is Michelle Hyatt,
And this is Karim Hyatt.
host of Marriage in a Minute. Tune in every Saturday at 3:30 p.m. right here on Omega Radio Broadcasting Network for encouraging words on marriage.
And listen, guys, check out our new website, www.marriagevantagepoint.com. And remember, you are the MVP in your marriage.
from this moment,